All right, let's talk about something that so many of us feel but almost never put into words. We're going to get into the deep psychology behind that powerful, almost physical resistance to asking for help. I mean, have you ever been there? You are drowning in work, in a personal problem, you name it. And the idea of just reaching out and saying, I need a hand, feels, well, impossible. If that's you, you are definitely not alone. And this is what we always hear, right? Our friends, our family, maybe even we say it to ourselves. Oh, I'm just being stubborn, or my pride is getting in the way. But what if that's not even close to the real story? Yeah, let's get right into it because what psychology is showing us is that this really has very little to do with your ego. In fact, it's something much deeper. It's a really powerful story about survival. There's actually a term for this. It's called hyper-independence. And the interesting thing is to stop thinking of it as a flaw and start seeing it for what it is, a skill. It's a response your brain literally built because it learned at some point that you couldn't count on support being there. And that's the absolute key here. This isn't just who you are. It's not something you were born with. It's more like a complex psychological fortress that you built brick by brick to keep yourself safe. And this is where we need to draw a really clear line. Look, true independence is healthy, it's a choice, you can handle things yourself, but you're also totally okay with asking for or receiving help. Hyper-independence, though, that's a whole different animal. It's compulsive. It's not a choice. It's a subconscious reflex, a defense mechanism that tells your brain self-reliance is the only safe option. So, the big question is, where does such a powerful protective instinct even come from? Well, we're about to break down the 5 core pillars that build this entire architecture of self-reliance. We're going to walk through how each of these contributes. Being overlooked as a kid, a fierce need for your own control, a deep well of internal strength, a history of emotional pain, and a very sharp eye for how power works in relationships. So let's start at the very beginning, with what's probably the most fundamental reason of all, the experience of being an emotionally ignored child. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? And listen, this isn't always about some huge dramatic neglect. It can be much quieter. It can be as simple as your feelings, your worries, your inner world, just consistently going unnoticed. And here's the domino effect, right? The cause is your emotional world being overlooked. The effect is that your brain literally wires a core belief that says, my needs aren't important. And the result? You learn that connection isn't a reliable source of support, so the only person you can truly 100% count on is yourself. Okay, on to the second reason. And this one is a really powerful driver for a lot of people. A deep, fundamental need for personal autonomy. This just nails the mindset, doesn't it? It's this idea that struggling and owning the result, win or lose, feels so much better than getting help and feeling like you gave up control over your own decisions. So what's actually going on here is a phenomenon called psychological reactance. Because your belief in personal responsibility is so strong, even well-meaning advice can feel like someone is trying to take away your freedom. And your brain's immediate reaction is to push back hard to protect your sense of control. Now, this third root is fascinating. It's about how you forge this incredibly strong belief that all control has to come from within, usually because you've had to survive some really difficult things. Look, if you've been through things that you don't even talk about, you've learned a lesson most people don't. You learned that real, dependable strength has to come from inside you. You're not looking for someone else to save you because you have proven to yourself over and over again that you are your own rescue. All right, let's talk about reason number 4, which is all about building walls to protect yourself from getting hurt again. Man, if you've ever opened up, shown your vulnerability, and had it thrown back in your face or just ignored, this quote hits home. You learn that silence isn't empty, it's armor. This can often come from being the scapegoat child, where if you showed you were in pain, you were criticized for it. So you develop this baked-in expectation that asking for help is just an invitation for more judgment. The logical solution? You just handle it all internally. It feels way, way safer. And that brings us to our 5th and final reason, a really fine-tuned, almost 6th sense for power dynamics in relationships. You're just really good at seeing the strings attached, you know? You can spot when a favor isn't a gift, it's a hook, And that fear of being trapped in a debt of gratitude, of giving someone leverage over you, is so strong that you choose to protect your peace of mind by just handling it yourself. So, when you put all of these pieces on the table, a totally different picture starts to take shape. This stops being about being difficult. It starts to look a whole lot like a very specific, hard won kind of strength. And this is what I really want you to take away from this. If any of this sounds like you, please understand that your hyper-independence is a testament to your resilience. It's a strength you built because you had to. You are not difficult. You are not broken. You're a survivor who learned how to build your own ground when everything else felt shaky. You see, understanding where this comes from is everything. It's the first step. It lets you stop seeing it as a flaw you have to fight and start seeing it as a part of your story. Your past explains so much about you, but it never, ever has to be a life sentence. The real question is, knowing all this, what do you want to build next?